Hey guys, so day 11. I'm happy to say that I've improved a ton. I'm still not 100% of the way there, but if you had told me 11 days ago with a frozen shoulder, unable to sleep, and what I thought was a full tear in my rotator cuff, that I would almost have full mobility a week and a half later, I would have been very surprised, even for me. So I'm super happy of how I progressed, but I'm not all the way there, and I'm gonna take you through where I'm at now and what I'm gonna be working on to get to that, from maybe call it 80% to 100%. So right now, my external rotation is almost completely back to normal. I'm able to, on the side, now go all the way to there. I do start to feel at the top some impingement and pain, on the outside of my arm, so it's not 100%. Same thing going out straight, pretty good, not 100%. And then straight up, back up a little bit, I can go to almost straight. So it's going really good. Let me tell you what I'm gonna be working on now, because the last week and a half, I've really been limiting my rehab work on the physical side in terms of moving it, because there's just too many ranges of motion where it hurt. So now I'm really starting to focus on range of motion and a little bit of stabilization and strengthening, because I can move it enough now and it doesn't really hurt that it needs to be tested. I need to start rehabilitating that range of motion, that strength, and that stability. And those are the three things that you're always looking to rehabilitate with an injury, especially in a joint. Obviously the shoulder is a mobile joint. It's super mobile, so you want to make sure you have good mobility, but it also needs that stabilization, and the stabilization comes from the front and the back. So the back and the chest really help stabilize, and if they're too tight, like in the case of the chest, from rounded shoulders, it can inhibit mobility. So continuing to work on that, not necessarily directly on the joint, but around the joint, as I've talked about before. Also continuing to improve healthy blood flow, making sure healthy nutrients are getting in. If there's any residual remaining debris, getting that out. But now's the time when I'm really starting to push a little bit more on the strengthening, because it's weak. And that's what injuries do, is they just tear down the area and you have to build it back up. So now's the point when I'm starting to, still very gently, very slowly and safely, move it in and out of ranges of motion and start to improve strength. If I feel pain, I back off. I tend to go on the easier side and see how I feel the next day. If it's not hurting or feels worse, then I know I've done about the right amount. And I try to then push it a little bit more the next day and just keep pushing myself, because what the main inhibiting thing will be, eventually, probably in the next couple of days, I should be back to 100% range of motion. But then there'll still be this weakness. So the shoulder will still be at a high risk of re-injury if I just go back. And that's what the problem with what a lot of people do, is they feel like, oh, my injury feels better, I'm not feeling any pain, so I can go back to sports, or I can go back to my activity, running, whatever it is. You're not quite ready yet, because the injury has weakened that joint, and you have to bring it back up to the strength it had before, and ideally even a little stronger, because that protects it. What I tell people, and what I really believe, is that an injury is really an opportunity for you to deal with a problem area. And so if you deal with it correctly, it can actually be stronger and safer than before the injury. Most people, when they get an injury, that area just gets destroyed and it's weaker for life. The goal here is to flip that on its head and say, oh, well, this is a problem. How do I get to the root of it? How do I protect it for the future and actually get more range of motion, more strength, more stability than I had pre-injury? So that's where I'm at now. I'll probably do one final update when I'm, back to 100%. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful.